From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Mike Dennison at the Capitol. Coming up, I'll tell you who really benefits from the state tax cuts passed by the 2021 Montana legislature.
Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks and the Custer-Gallatin National Forest continue investigating an incident involving a bear biting a camper. And I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have that full story coming up.
Well, get ready, because it's going to be a hot day today. If you like the way it feels now, it's only going to get hotter, right now.
That's right.
It is lovely outside right now.
Even when it's hot, it's been pretty comfortable here the last couple of days, during the hottest part of the day. So,
right. The one advantage we've had is we've not had a lot of rain. That's a disadvantage, but we've also had not a lot of thunder showers and lightning. Right. That is an advantage.
That
so it's a two-edged sword there.
Definitely is. And today we do hold the potential of a couple of mountain showers. We'll be watching that very carefully here in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. But you look at these temperatures, we're into the 40s. Our best potential of seeing any showers really coming in parts of southern Beaverhead, southern Madison, and southern Gallatin County through the afternoon. But even those chances are pretty slim. Daytime highs well into the 80s. We'll be pushing the 90s in a few areas today. Light wind, comfortable conditions through the mid-afternoon, then it kind of warms up late in the afternoon. We've got a couple of warm days before it cools down for a short time. We'll talk more about the timing of all this coming up in just a few minutes.
Keywords for a short time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Well, Montana's 2021 legislature passed a half dozen tax cuts that will reduce state revenue between $50 and $60 million a year.
Yeah, but who actually gets the tax cuts and who doesn't? In the first of a two-part series, MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison gives us the rundown, starting with the major changes made to our state income tax.
Majority Republicans and Governor Greg Gianforte made it clear from the get-go that they plan to reduce Montana's top income tax rate, and they did. It's coming in two stages. Starting in 2022, the top rate on income higher than about $19,000 drops from 6.9% to 6.75%. And then, starting in 2024, the entire system gets an overhaul. Montana's 7 income tax brackets will be collapsed into 2, with tax rates at 4.7% and 6.5%. Our state taxable income also will be tied to federal taxable income, and more than a dozen tax credits will be eliminated. So, what's it all mean in terms of the actual impact on individual taxpayers? Let's take a look. Under the top rate cut that takes effect in 2022, about 200,000 households, 42% of all who file a state return, will get no tax reduction, and the vast majority of those households earn less than $45,000 a year. In the middle tier of households, those earning between $34,000 and $79,000 a year, the average reduction will be about $25. And the top 10% of earners, those making more than $148,000, get well over half the tax cut's total reduction, with an average cut of $357 each. But the changes in store for 2024 have a much more diverse effect. Anywhere from 55,000 to 93,000 Montana households with lower incomes won't have to file a return at all because of a new higher standard deduction. According to a Revenue Department analysis, 58% of all households will see a state income tax decrease, 28% will see their taxes go up, and 14% would see no change. Winners and losers also exist across all income brackets. For example, among the top 10% of income earners, half will see a decrease, half will pay higher taxes. And for the middle tier of tax-paying households, earning in the $36,000 to $84,000 a year range, about two-thirds will get a cut, averaging about $100 each, and 30% will see tax increases. Republican State Senator Greg Hertz of Polson sponsored both income tax cut bills. He says the straight rate cut in 2022 is a stepping stone to the overhaul, which he believes is a fairer, simpler system for everyone.
The low to middle income taxpayers will see an advantage of not having to pay the taxes on some of their first dollars that they earn. And when it comes to some folks in the upper income too, they will actually lose some deductions, like the federal income tax deduction will no longer be allowed. So some of those will be paying a little bit more taxes too.
Hertz also says the lower top income tax rate makes Montana more attractive to businesses and entrepreneurs when they compare tax structures in deciding where to expand.
We need to be competitive with other states to attract higher paying jobs in this state, and that's our goal.
But Democrats who oppose the income tax cuts say the tax competition argument falls flat when you consider that Montana has no sales tax.
We don't have that, so we rely on income tax to basically provide quality services in the state of Montana.
Cohenauer, the Democratic Senate Minority Leader, also says it's pretty clear the income tax cuts or changes primarily benefit Montana's wealthier taxpayers.
In their thought processes, we're going to give a bunch of money to the highest income people in the state of Montana, and that's going to trickle down through the economy. We already know that does not work.
Lawmakers also passed a trio of bills that will cut property taxes in Montana, for some. Tomorrow, we'll take a closer look at who benefits from these changes. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now you can see Mike Dennison's more detailed report on who benefits from the new tax cuts by visiting our website.
Well, Montana's FWP says it was a black bear that attacked a camper at Mystic Lake south of Bozeman this weekend.
MTN's Gabby Krevitz spoke with the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks and has our update.
After the temporary emergency closure of the Sourdough Trail just south of Bozeman, Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks and the Custer-Gallatin National Forest continue the investigation of a bear biting a camper near the Mystic Lake campground. According to Gallatin County Search and Rescue, a camper who had been bitten by a bear at Mystic Lake was too injured to make the hike down, but found a nearby runner who was able to get to service quickly and call 911. The camper, who did not have life-threatening injuries, was airlifted and treated at Bozeman Health Deaconess Hospital.
The victim reported that what they saw was a small black bear. During the investigation, our staff, as well as others who responded, did not see a bear during the course of the investigation.
Morgan Jacobson with FWP says while the investigation continues, they aren't actively searching for the bear anymore. However, they will be keeping an eye out for similar incidents that might occur in the nearby area.
When we have an incident like this, our wardens and bear specialists, try to go to the scene, and try and piece together what happened. We interview the victim and get their account of things, try and determine, what was driving the animal's behavior, what factors contributed to this incident.
In this case, FWP tells us the bear was most likely motivated by a food reward due to poor food storage. Jacobson says these types of interactions with bears happen multiple times in a year, but they can be prevented. That means properly storing all food and attractants, including toiletries, the right way.
That includes storing it in a hard-sided vehicle. They can suspend them from a bear pole. Another is in a certified bear-resistant container.
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Krevitz, MTN News.
A woman hiking in Yellowstone National Park was injured by a bison Sunday. Public information specialist for the park, Linda Veres, says the 30-year-old woman and a companion were hiking on the Storm Point Trail in mid-afternoon. Park officials can confirm the attack, but it's not clear how it happened. The woman was flown to Eastern Idaho Medical Center in Idaho Falls with significant injuries. The extent of her injuries and her current condition are not known at this time.
In other headlines this morning, the Deep Creek Canyon fire east of Townsend, now almost halfway contained. It's burned more than 4,600 acres. Fire crews focused on holding and improving fire lines to the north and south of Highway 12. That fire knocked out power to a wide area. Crews are still working to replace those lines. It's hoped that power can be restored to the area by Thursday. Cause of that blaze still under investigation.
Near Red Lodge, the Robertson Draw fire is 45% contained. That blaze remains at just under 30,000 acres burned, and as of late Sunday night, most evacuation warnings were lifted. The area south of Red Lodge along the east side of the Highway 212 is still under an evacuation warning. That fire, which was determined to be human-caused, remains under investigation.
And Montana's other large fire, 25 miles east of Bridger, the Crooked Creek fire, continues to burn in the Pryor Mountains. Crews report no major spread. That blaze listed at 5,400 acres burned, but 0% contained.
Well, in spite of a little rain on Sunday, fire dangers continue to ratchet up across the Rocky Mountains. Yellowstone National Park is no exception. The fire danger there is now listed as high. There are no active wildfires in the park right now and no fire restrictions. Within the park, fires are only allowed in fire rings, in designated campgrounds, and some backcountry campsites. Campfires must always be attended and cold to the touch before abandoning. The Park Service reminds campers to soak, stir, feel, and repeat when leaving a fire.
It's a good idea everywhere, I think. We should all follow those rules. Meantime, 6:39, as state firefighters get a handle on Montana's wildfires. We have some amazing footage from last week's helicopter crash east of Townsend.
Those on board miraculously survived thanks to some heroic efforts. MTN's John Riley sat down with an MHP trooper who played a big part in getting the crew out safely.
On June 15th, a DNRC helicopter had to make a hard landing while responding to the Deep Creek fire. Thankfully, a Montana Highway Patrol trooper was on scene to help out.
I think at one point in my mind while I'm helping them out, I thought to myself, this helicopter could blow up at any minute. On that afternoon, Trooper Amanda Vila was coordinating with the Broadwater County Sheriff's Office for the closure of Highway 12 and was headed to meet up with a deputy. As I pulled in, I could see the helicopter crash right in front of us. I put my car in park, I got out. Initially, I wasn't sure if anybody had survived the crash because I didn't know how far it had dropped from. I noticed somebody trying to get out the window. The video shows Trooper Vila running towards the helicopter. It's upside down, smoke and flames erupting from the aircraft. Once he was out, I yelled at him if there was anyone else inside. He said there's 4 more people inside. I went to the window and then just kind of helped people crawl out onto my back to pull them out of the helicopter. Thanks to the efforts of Vila, the Broadwater County deputy, and fire personnel in the area, everyone escaped without any major injuries. Within a few minutes of the crew being evacuated, the helicopter was engulfed in flames. I just knew that I couldn't just stand there and let those people stay in there while it was on fire, and that could have happened. So my biggest concern was we need to get these people out, we need to get away from here, and that was focus number 1. The true nature of a person often comes out during a crisis situation. For Trooper Amanda Vila, that's somebody who rushes into danger, looking for those who are in need and helping where she can. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Now, the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation says in a report that the crash could have been prevented. The report states adverse wind played a factor in the hard landing, but had more specific reconnaissance procedures been followed, the pilot would have had more time to evaluate the wind conditions at the helibase. Pilot and crew have opted to retrain for adverse wind factors. A toxicology report, by the way, which the pilot insisted on having, came back clean. So interesting there, but a great job by that trooper for Montana Highway Patrol. Jumping in. We talk about it here on Montana This Morning all the time. That's what I do. That's our job. So great job, and
without a second thought, just a miracle.
Fantastic. Good stuff.
Incredible.
Very good stuff.
Wow. Well, coming up here, how do you let people know how you feel about social distancing at this phase of the pandemic? A grocery store in Wisconsin has an idea. Coming up, we'll see how that works.
But first, here's a look at what's happening at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, COVID deaths in the U.S. are at their lowest rate in more than a year, but the Delta variant has now been detected in 49 states. What this means is we try to reach herd immunity. Also, the number of complaints against payment apps like Venmo and Zelle is surging. We have an exclusive first look at a new report revealing what the top issues are. And we're talking to Grammy winner Ciara. First on CBS This Morning, she's using her voice to try to save women's lives. We'll see you at 7.